This is a Hot Pie Original.
The Republican Party is heading down a righteous path, part 5 or part 6 or part 8. I don't know what part this is of that's it. We've had enough. We're going to reinvent ourselves. We are going to take the high road. We are going to be the righteous moral party again. Now there's the threat of a third party. And we can pick apart, because these are big stories, these are important stories, and if nothing else, then it's pretty compelling to see if it happens. We can pick apart both of those things. You can pick apart whether or not this whole, that's it, we're taking it back, we're going to be righteous again, we're leaving the mafia family, and we're going to be moral again. There's that part. There's the other part, which is disturbing and sad, but fascinating. And that is the reality of pulling off a third party run. First of all, you can't blame them. I mean, let's be honest. You can't really blame them for saying that's enough already, because they are. They're trying. No, some of them are trying to say that's enough already, but we don't really know who that is. I don't see Raphael, that's Raphael Ted Cruz. His name is Raphael for those that don't know. I don't see Raphael Ted Cruz leading the team down this moral path. And if Raphael is not on board, then let's just agree, forget it. You're going nowhere fast. Before I dissect the moral high ground and trying to take the moral high ground and taking the moral high ground away from the mafia family, Let's dissect this issue about the third party, the threat of a third party. I don't see it. I don't see it. And honestly, it's unfortunate. And whatever your political stripe, even if you have no political stripe whatsoever, even if you are a casual observer of politics, which is probably a smart thing to do since it's just full of sellout scum, in my opinion, you should be disappointed that this, once again, is not going to work. However justified this group may be in trying to take the party away from the mafia family of D. Trump, you certainly can't blame them, because to some of those on the fringes, even Raphael Cruz, but he doesn't care. But you can't blame them because the party was built on the concept of smaller government, trade, taxes, and morality. And that concept, that mission, however genuine you thought it was, it's been completely wiped out by fascism light. None of those things matter anymore. None of them. Everything the party of Reagan, if that's what it wanted to be, and I think it was for a long time, every aspect of the party has been wiped out by fascism light, and maybe not even light. So they no longer have any of those things. They're no longer smaller government. They're no longer about trade, fair trade. They're no longer about morality. That's for damn sure. They're not about taxes. It's not about anything of substance. There's nothing of substance that matters anymore. So you can't blame them politically for saying, okay, that's this time we mean it. We're going to get rid of D. Trump and the gang, and we're going to take this thing back. You cannot blame them for doing that. So the idea of launching third party makes perfect sense. And I'm going to argue you should really want that. I would argue with you, you should really want third party, 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th. You should want a lot more, because the system is terrible right now. So the healthiest thing for the American voter, just like every other competitive market, more competition is a good thing. More competition makes the consumer work harder. More competition makes the companies compete against each other. More competition makes everything better. And notice how we apply that standard of more competition to every other aspect of life, every other marketplace, except in politics. It is the most unhealthy framework that we could have. And yet we are so far removed from third parties. The idea of a third party, the chance of a third party, a fourth party, a fifth party, No chance, no way. Every other aspect of our life, we would say, come on, we want more competition. It's great for price. It's great for ideology. It's great for producing better products, except in politics. And notice what politics now looks like. You get a duopoly. You get a monopoly. You're going to have garbage products, and now you have a garbage product. So it makes perfect sense why somebody would say, logically, we really need a third party. Yeah, we do. I'll submit to you, we don't just need 3. We need 3, 4, 10. You need as many as possible for it to be a healthier system. You're not going to get it. Let's go back in time. I will toss out some very unpopular ideas that I've had through the years, and I'll do it again because here we are again with somebody rightfully. I'll say this for the position, the righteous party. I guess we're not going to call it the Republican Party. We're going to call it the righteous party. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to say. And I don't blame them, and I wish them well, and I think you should wish them well. It won't work. Listen, back in time, I had argued that when Donald Trump was first running, sort of, or whatever he was doing, whatever he was trying to sell, whatever happened, I argued at the time, even at the time, and I didn't know that much about D. Trump. I didn't watch The Apprentice. I didn't really know that much about him. But I said, wait a minute here. For this to be a healthy system, Trump and Bernie Sanders need to be classified accurately. And I suggested at the time, screamed at in the world of talk radio, trust me, you suck 1,000 times. But I submitted that Trump should have been a nationalist and Bernie Sanders should have been a socialist. A Republican is not a libertarian. And by the way, whoever was libertarian, they don't really exist anymore either. But whoever was going to be libertarian needed to be that. You needed an L, you needed an N, you needed an S, you needed a G, you needed an R, you needed a D, and keep going. We needed that. And if we don't get that, then you're going to get what we have now. And that is the only thing that matters today is hating the other side. You're not trying to figure out what the libertarian stands for. You're not trying to figure out what the Republican stands for. You're not trying to figure out what the nationalist stands for. You're just hating on someone else. And that's what happens when you have a duopoly. I hate to say I told you so, but I kind of told you so. This party has no chance. But that's what needed to happen. You could agree or disagree, and you could say, well, but Jeff, there's so many flaws in that. Oh, really? As if there's no flaws in the system now? Let me tell you the problem with the system now. Let me tell you why everyone should want this group to be a third party. Everyone should want more candidates with more ideas hammering away at the system. And let me tell you why that is. Because if you don't get that, if you don't get real competition, if you don't get real ideology, real discussions, you get what we have now. And that is, I won't vote for them because I hate them. Well, what about your person? I don't know. I don't care. I just hate them. There's your vote. So that's what a duopoly is. It's driven solely by hating the other. You don't have to find a policy. You don't have to find an ideology. Trump has no ideology. He's representing 35% of the pissed off population that is mad at the world. Right? Joe Biden got elected. Why? Because he's not Donald Trump. People voted why? Biden won overwhelmingly, in spite of what knuckleheads say. I mean, what was it? 7 million votes. He got 7 million more votes because he's not Trump. That's it. That's what our election process is. I don't know about him. I don't agree with him, but I hate him. Done. End of story. So it brings me back to something I've said for a long time that I've, sort of doing a talk show long enough. You could sort of hear these ideas forming. And it seemed pretty clear to me, and it happened in this last election, when you have a duopoly, right? When it's just about hate, you end up in a place that I've talked about for a long time. And that is people vote. Unfortunately, for people that have listened to me for a long time, you've heard this far too many times, but let's revisit this and let's make sure everybody else starts to appreciate this simple concept that is pathetic. And this is what happens when you don't have real competition. People don't vote in favor of something. You vote against someone. And that's all the political process is now. My argument for more parties, more ideology, and more ideas is that they'd each be forced to sell you something, not sell you on hating the other person. A squirrel would have had more votes than Donald Trump in the last election. Blank space, check mark. I don't care what it is. And if he runs again, you know what's going to happen? A squirrel could have more votes. You know why? Because the vote is not about what that person stands for, that squirrel stands for. It's, I hate that lunatic. And then the Trump crowd is, I hate everyone else. Done. There's politics. So we should want this group to pull off the third party. We should want Bernie Sanders to be an S. We should want Donald Trump to be an N or a fascist or whatever you want to call him. We should want the Green Party to be there. We should want as many different parties competing as possible. And we have just the opposite. And it's going to happen again. Whatever this group wants to call itself, the righteous party. I'm just going to use that until somebody tells me otherwise. The righteous party is going to go down a path and they're going to find pretty quickly it won't work. I used to hear all the time, the libertarians are going to do this. No, they're not. We're so far removed from anybody being meaningful. The one thing that Trump has, the Trump existence, the Trump mafia family has been able to pull off is it's driven us into this place where you either hate everyone else and vote for Trump or you can't stand the Trump mystique and you vote against him. That's all we have now. That's it. So I think we should wish this group well, just because it might disrupt the system. Maybe. No, it won't. So here's how the righteous party, for those that don't know, this is how the righteous party came to be. This is MSN.com. More than 100 Republicans say they will leave their party and form a new one if it doesn't split from former President Donald Trump. The preamble of their statement, published by the New York Times, I guess this came out yesterday, is, when in our democratic republic, forces of conspiracy, division arise, it's the patriotic duty of citizens to act collectively in defense of liberty and justice. You know what his response is going to be. He is going to give you the middle finger. You know it. And so's the knucklehead wearing one of his hats. He's going to give you the middle finger. But let's wait and watch as they try. Let's cheer them on as they try this righteous position until they get the middle finger. Those due to sign the document include former officials, members of Congress, ambassadors, cabinet secretaries, and party chairmen. They include former Pennsylvania Governor Tom Ridge, former New Jersey Governor Christine Todd Whitman, former Transportation Secretary Mary Peters, who served under George W. Bush, Miles Taylor. Oh, Miles, wait till you get a load of this kid. He's trying. And I wish you well, Miles. You're going to get the middle finger. Okay, you're going to get it, buddy. And you know what the first thing going to be said? You're a loser. It's coming. Miles Taylor says if the GOP can't break free of the nauseating cult of personality around Donald Trump, then they'll not only get an intra-party civil war, they'll see a breakaway movement running against them in key races around the country. Hey, I'm here with John McClellan, the creator and founder of ATX Hot Sauce. And when I say that you started this, maybe not screwing around in your kitchen, but maybe not that far removed from screwing around in your kitchen. So talk about the creation, the process, the dream that came out of the pandemic.
It's from Austin, from Texas. There's not a lot of hot sauces out there that are actually from here. There's a few great ones too. But, Frank's and Tabasco and some of these other ones, I want something that's Texan like me. It's different. And I think that's what Texas is a little bit about. That's what Austin's about. So that flavor first, without the vinegar, and then going into the heat after that, but not a blow your head off heat. If you notice, a lot of the hot sauces out there that you see are like da bomb or death's door, right?
Yeah.
You know, and they're just supposed to blow your head off when you do it, when you taste it. Well, that's not the kind of hot sauce that I'm making. I'm making a hot sauce for the everyday person, for the condiment for every single day. And that's why the flavor first, heat second is so important, that you get those flavors, the nuances, whatever food that you're making.
All right, order a box now. It's atxhotsauce.com, atxhotsauce.com. Kid, he's probably 40, looks like a kid. No, they won't. I'm sorry, kid. I hate to break it to you. America is stupid and America is angry, and your pitch probably is going nowhere fast. The impetus of this, which is good. I mean, this process is good. The argument is good. The chaos is good. You should want chaos in politics. You don't, but you really should. All that stuff's fine. It's going to end with a middle finger. It's going to end with a knucklehead hitting someone else with a sign. It's going to end with the usual knucklehead behavior. And old Miles is going to have to go somewhere else. House Republicans voted to remove Liz Cheney from her position as chair of the House Republican Conference. It was an intentional, symbolic move to say, you Republicans, you of trade, you of taxes, you of morality, you of smaller government, you shut your face. This is ours. This is our turf, our party. This is fascism light. Get out of here. We'll shout you down. We'll hit you in the head with a sign. We'll do whatever we need to do. You're going to leave. And that's what removing her was about. That's what it's about. Okay. The Republican Party is not the new righteous party. The Republican Party is, 35% of the population, made up almost exclusively of pissed off rural white people that really do like an autocrat. They are not in line with the idea of a third party. And the Republican Party is the FU party. You can't say Liz Cheney's Republican Party. She's not. She just got kicked to the curb. The party of today is the party of Trump, is the FU party. Trump is the middle finger to angry America. There's nothing else to it. Stop overthinking it. Trust me, I've heard it coming for years. They just hate the world. Okay, that's it. There is no policy that matters. And they really mean it. $1 billion question. And I think we do have to consider this. What happens if and when Donald Trump is in serious legal trouble? Because most credible reports are saying that he's likely to get indicted on fraud and tax evasion. And that may happen very soon. Now, I don't know how long it would take for D. Trump to be in a jumpsuit. It would take a while. So would that change the FU party? If and when Donald Trump is indicted, if and when Donald Trump is spending most of his time dealing with legal problems, and it sounds like they're coming, does that change the FU party? Is that really going to give Liz Cheney and the righteous crowd a chance to sort of enter stage left? What does that do to FU? Nothing. In fact, I think it makes them more FU. I think Donald Trump sitting in a courtroom is going to really make them mad. I don't think they stop. I don't see that coming. So I don't see that until, I don't know what changes it, honestly. Until he's in jail, you would say, I don't think that does it either. So I don't see the principled, policy-oriented Republicans winning over this 35%. I mean, think of it in marketing terms, because that's really what we're dealing with now. So let's now try to tackle this idea of the righteous party. What is the righteous party supposed to do? Who are they supposed to get? The righteous party is not going to win over that 35% wearing the tank tops and drinking malt liquor who want to fight you and kick you in the face. They're not going to get that crowd. I don't care if you talk to them about taxes and tariffs. They're going to punch you in the face. So they don't care. You're not going to get that 35%. I'd love to see the righteous movement get a libertarian bent, but that would take some screen time and charisma. And I think they got a huge marketing problem. I think they almost have an impossible marketing problem. Think of it this way. So now you got this third party, righteous party. Republican Party's FU party. Democratic Party's the non-FU party. It's non-Trump. Okay, so there's our political world. So here we have the righteous party comes along and says, we got to win somehow. We got to win somebody somewhere. So do they take the 35%? No chance. Do they then sell themselves on, we are this, we are taxes, tariffs, we are, I don't know, marijuana, we are morality, we are all these things. Where are they going to get that audience? I think there's a bunch of parties, each focus, if there were a bunch of parties, each focused on their ideologies, but we're far from that place. So there's some thinking that Liz Cheney, who's really a conservative by every measurement, this now gives her a platform. Like in some weird strategic way, this is good for her. This now draws the line between FU and the party of morality, right? That she's now gets to represent something and someone, and she gets to take on the FU, the mafia family. I don't know that I buy that, because who's she really talking to? Who's his 35%? Where are they going to come from? Let me give you an example. I'll use a town nearby. I'm sure they're going to say FU Ward. Burnet, Texas is a town west of here. To say that it's Trumpy would be an understatement. Okay? So here's the example of the problem that Liz Cheney and the Righteous Party has. There should be a vegan restaurant in Burnet. Okay? Hear me out. It's weird, but hear me out. So there should be a vegan restaurant in Burnet. Okay? There's no other vegan restaurants around. So why, if there's none there, surely there's a market for them. No, actually, there's not. There are no vegan restaurants in Burnet that I know of. If so, you've just lost a lot of money. But there are no current vegans looking for a restaurant, right? You got a building, you got a space, you got a job description, but there's no customers that want it. I don't know where her customers are going to come from. The 35% don't want it. They're sure the hell not going to the vegan Liz Cheney restaurant. They're only out there to hate on someone else. Is she gonna take it from the Joe Biden crowd? Well, the Joe Biden crowd isn't a Joe Biden crowd. It's the anti-Trump crowd. So where is she going to get these customers? Where are you going to get these voters? How are you going to win them over? You're not winning over the 35%. Do not try. They'll hit you. They'll just say, stop talking to me, die. Okay, so give up on them. You got to go find them somewhere else. You got to go find the vegans for your restaurant and burn it somewhere else. Okay, so here you go. Here is sort of the way this thing played out audio-wise yesterday. First up, Liz Cheney, who is, do not argue her sincerity. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that there's a giant marketing problem. Liz Cheney goes to the congressional floor to deliver her D. Trump and his family are mafia members speech. Republicans intentionally left the chamber. That's how powerful that 35% is. That's how powerful the FU message has to be. They had to show, lady, we may like you, but we can't like you publicly. In fact, the FU crowd wants us to hate you. So she is in the congressional chamber. Count them up. One Republican sitting there.
Thank you very much, my friend. Today, we face a threat America has never seen before. A former president who provoked a violent attack on this Capitol in an effort to steal the election has resumed his aggressive effort to convince Americans that the election was stolen from him. He risks inciting further violence. Millions of Americans have been misled by the former president. They have heard only his words, but not the truth. as he continues to undermine our democratic process, sowing seeds of doubt about whether democracy really works at all. I am a conservative Republican, and the most conservative of conservative principles is reverence for the rule of law. The Electoral College has voted. More than 60 state and federal courts, including multiple judges the former president appointed, have rejected his claims. The Trump Department of Justice investigated the former president's claims of widespread fraud and found no evidence to support them. The election is over. That is the rule of law. That is our constitutional process. Those who refuse to accept the rulings of our courts are at war with the Constitution. Our duty is clear. Every one of us who has sworn the oath must act to prevent the unraveling of our democracy. This is not about policy. This is not about partisanship. This is about our duty as Americans. Remaining silent and ignoring the lie emboldens the liar. I will not participate in that. I will not sit back and watch in silence while others lead our party down a path that abandons the rule of law and joins the former president's crusade to undermine our democracy. We must speak the truth.
Yeah.
Our election.
You know what I wish right now? I wish Trump was on Twitter. I wish Trump, his thumbs would come off his body. He would be tweeting, "You loser," so many times. There would be so many F-bombs, so many exclamation points. I'm sorry. I don't care if you think for the sake of a good talk show, I wish he were on Twitter in real time because his head was exploding as she was saying that. That was a beautiful speech. It was a righteous speech. Of course, she's right. Put her speech, as a backdrop up against those knuckle-headed losers that were stampeding the Capitol on January 6th. Really? You think they wanted to hear what she just had to say? Who wanted to hear what she just had to say that's part of the current Republican Party? Because if you look around, there was no one there. And they were not there because they had to give their dear leader the message, "We think she's a loser too, boss. If we could, we'd hit her with a sign too, boss. We'd drop an F-bomb too on her, boss." No. America's far more pathetic than that. Nice try. Good speech. I will tell you what he would have tweeted in the moment. Loser, loser, loser. There'd be these giant fragmented sentences where his thumbs, they'd just be going really fast. And he would do that thing where he misspells everything and gets it all wrong. That's what would be happening in real time. Okay, so next up is the guy who says, that's it, I'm in. We're taking over this place. Third party, here we come. This is a guy who is well-intentioned. And again, no matter what, you would like for this to work because we need more parties. We need to disrupt this whole political process. It needs to be turned on its head. It needs what every other industry gets. Nobody knows who he is and no one cares. And of course, he's already been called a loser by the Trump family. They don't like him much. The knuckleheads sure the heck don't like him. He goes to CNN for an interview because he is now going to throw down the hammer. His name is Miles Taylor. He looks 14. He has perfect hair, and they're going to eat him alive. Miles says, "It's on, D. Trump."
Joining us now is Miles Taylor. He is the former chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security. He was the anonymous author of an op-ed and subsequent book about the resistance inside the Trump administration. And he's now joined with more than 100 other Republicans who are preparing to release a letter as soon as today, threatening to form a third party if the Republican Party doesn't make certain changes, which, Miles, it does not seem there is any indication they will. So what was your reaction to what was really an incredible moment? This was Liz Cheney on the House floor, and with the exception of one Republican, the entire conference vacated to basically shun her.
Well, Brianna, it was an extremely symbolic and powerful moment that showed exactly where the GOP stand. Liz Cheney is one of the few Republicans that still maintains her spine in a sea of spinelessness. And that's why we are doing what we're doing. We are saying enough is enough. Yes, there was the January 6th insurrection, but it hasn't stopped. The GOP has continued to perpetuate lies that are tearing at the fabric of our democracy. So this group of 100 Republicans, tomorrow we are going to come out and we're going to say we will no longer stand for it. We are going to issue a call for American renewal. And what you will see is those prominent former Republicans and current Republicans say enough is enough. And we need to offer a common sense coalition for this country and a more unifying alternative vision than what we're seeing from the present GOP, which has now become rotten to its core for the persistent attacks on our democracy. So our message is it is time to either reform or repeal the Republican Party.
Miles, why not join the Democratic Party? I can see the Democrats looking at this and saying, okay, it's nice that you're not supporting these Trump Republicans, but if you're going to split off and form a third party, you're going to actually maybe hurt more than you help.
Yeah, well, we would say first and foremost, look, a lot of Republicans, conservatives, and centrists have differences with the Democratic Party. The one place we are united with Democrats right now is in defending our democracy. But in the long run, John, we think it's absolutely critical for a pluralistic democratic system to have multiple parties competing ideas. The irony, John, is right now in my life, whether it's ordering an Uber or a Lyft or ordering, clothes or food online, I've got unlimited choice. But right now in my democracy, ironically, there's no choice and there's no competition because the big party monopoly over our system has made it closed off. Consumers, voters, they want more choice. And we want to try to break open that system. How are we going to do that? Well, if we operationalize this movement, and mark my words, this is more than just a statement we're issuing tomorrow. We are committed to actually taking action, namely defending the good Republicans that are out there, the Liz Cheneys, the Mitt Romneys, the Adam Kinzingers, but also opposing the radicals out there in the party. And then more importantly, incubating and accelerating pragmatic, principled candidates around this country to go run against the extremists and to be an insurgency of the pragmatic people in the center and the center right to restore sanity to our politics.
So, Miles, that takes a lot of money.
Miles,
right? You're talking about.
Thank you, everyone. Look, Miles, that was nice. It was well done. Certainly spot on. A lot of thinking went into that. It was delivered very well. It's a great tan. Your hair is excellent. Good shirt. But you know what was happening in that moment again? I wish in real time he was on Twitter because I call them rage tweets. The rage tweets would just be coming and they would just be flowing. And in his own, blog or whatever he's doing, here is, as this guy is delivering this nice speech and you really want this to happen just for competition. He's right about that. In the moment, here's what he would be getting. Nice hair, but you are a loser. Punk ass loser. No one liked you. No one wants to be friends with you. Loser, 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 loser. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And Miles is going nowhere fast.
Jeff Ford is very smart.